Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Clark. Before the video starts, I would like to give very special thanks to Solomon Pleasent, SmaugtheDM, and Ginger for joining me for this podcast. I really had a fun time talking about a show that has a lot of impact on my childhood. And for those who are Lost Tapes fans, thank you for watching.
Creatures science refuses to recognize.
There's something down there!
But if our eyes see it, if our cameras capture it,
What is that?
does it exist?
They're monsters!
Lost tapes. Do you believe?
Hello, everybody. My name is Brad Clark, and today we're going to be talking about a different topic today. This show is very underrated, in my opinion, and it's a show that several people have probably grown up with, like who have had a love of cryptids or just like creatures in general. This show is called Lost Tapes. It was a show produced by Animal Planet in 2008 and ended in 2010. And I'm actually joined today by three other co-stars. Please introduce yourselves.
Yeah, like Brad said, this show is very, very underrated. Animal Planet, I think, did a really, really good job with the cryptids. Though some of the episodes were a little quirky and a little cheesy, and acting wasn't all technically good. I really think this show should get another season because there's so many possibilities that there's more cryptids that should be included that really weren't.
Who's next?
Hey everybody, SmaugtheDM here, and I want to say that this might be a little bit early for everybody out here, because I know I usually don't do Lost Tapes content at least this time of the year, but I'm here with Brett Radbard, Gingerking16. Yeah, I'm trying to get everybody along with mine.
We just go by Brad Clark on here.
All right. And the one, the only, and the person who started everything off my channel, because I wouldn't be here right now if I wasn't for him, Solomon.
And we are joined by Solomon Pleasant. Please introduce yourself.
I normally don't do major intros. I think anyone who's seen my video knows that I spent too long on the intro on that. It's been a long time since I've talked about Lost Tapes, but to get the ball moving again, just kind of talk about it again in a more critical light, so to speak, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, we're gonna for this podcast, we're first gonna go over seasons 1 and 3, our overall thoughts about the seasons. Then we're gonna talk about the worst episode, the best episode, and the scariest episode. And keep in mind,
is that per season or?
Yes, per season.
Yeah, per season, and then if you want to do like overall, we can do that.
So wait. You want us to do favorite for per everything else per season?
Just an overview, and then basically.
Okay.
And
he's essentially saying that what's your scariest from like season 1, season 2, and season 3, the same as the worst and favorite.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
And finally, the last topic of discussion, we're going to go over what we think could have happened in a theoretical season 5 and a season 4. But yeah, let's start off with season 1. So in season 1, we didn't really see the creature too much. It was kind of like Jaws. And in Solomon's video, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of had this Jaws like effect, where it's just more about the ambiance and not so much like seeing the creature too often, but more so just like the environment, the mood, the
season 1
acting.
Always, and I think part of this had to do with the budget, that they weren't able to fully show what they could do. So in season 1, it was like a lot like Jaws, where we didn't see it until like the very end, or at the bare minimum when we did see it, it was either through practical effects, except for Monster Monterey. I believe that one was CGI. And as a hot take, I think season 1 has a little more dignity than season 3 at the minimum, because it did take that mindset of let's not show too much, but just enough to keep people interested.
No,
that's what I was. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was about to say basically say the same thing. That's basically how people perceive season 2. They say it's the best season because it doesn't show the monster too much. It gives us like a good amount, like not too much.
Yeah.
Season
I mean,
one,
like with season 1, they did like every so often it would show the monster. I'm not sure about Monterey Bay, even though a couple people have been telling me, "Oh yeah, it's there." I'm like, I don't even see the freaking thing. I don't even see it.
it's on the last camera shot when you see it like above.
It's a giant ass shadow.
Falls off the boat. It's a giant shadow, but it is there.
Yeah, it's very hard
Okay.
to discern. It's kind of like the Great White effect, where it's hard to see on top, but it's even hard to see on bottom.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was
they
going
do
to
sprinkle
say,
in every so often. They do sprinkle in every so often the monster in season 1. I think Death Raptor's a good example of this, where you got to see the shadow of the Death Raptor strike at the group, and it even is shown like in the church when they were running from it as well.
Yeah, season 1 had a lot of restriction, but I think it worked with its restriction outside of a couple of episodes that I think just got lazy, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is what Jackson Knight Productions, a guy that reviewed both season 1 and season 2. I hope he can do season 3. Meanwhile, on down the road, but he said that season 1 was good because you don't have to rely on the actual creature. It's mind over matter. The atmosphere and the overall, like, just like the atmosphere alone, just adds how good the season is. You don't need jump scares. You don't need to see the actual creature. Take Bigfoot for example. The atmosphere, the setting is beyond beautiful. You don't need to see the creature in order for an episode to be scary.
If I had to give like one minor criticism, more so just like not so much on the documentary side, although I think it was kind of weird how they decided to do subtitles and they changed it up in season 2 and 3. But besides that, I think one missed opportunity in season 1 was probably the Loch Ness Monster. I felt like they
100%.
because basically the cryptid trinity, if there is one, is Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Loch Ness. But even Loch Ness is a little bit skeptical on the validity of that creature.
Well, even Yeti's another good one too, and they eventually did that in season 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Yeti. I just recently rewatched that. I'll say about Yeti in season 3.
So overall, pretty decent. Like, could have added a little bit more budget, but yeah, atmosphere and the acting was pretty good, although questionable at times. Oh, I was just saying, like, overall season 1 is pretty decent for what it has, like the atmosphere and some of the acting.
Like, if I was going to rate like a scale from 1 to 10, I'd actually give it a 7 because the amount of cryptids it has, it's very, very interesting. Chupacabra, Bigfoot, the Mongolian death horror. Even though that wasn't technically not a good episode, it was the concept. That's what I feel like some of the episodes were. Like even the worst episodes, great concept, terrible execution.
Yeah.
So overall, the episodes, like the choice of cryptids were good. The acting, it wouldn't get better in season 2, but I think it would improve in season 3. And like the settings and the atmosphere, it just adds to the validity of season 1. And I think it was an overall good episode for how limited the budget was.
Yeah. Solomon, what's your thoughts
the acting overall was always hit or miss with this show. That's always been a criticism.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Absolutely. I mean,
Same.
you can't have like Robert fucking Downey Jr. in it, otherwise it's obviously going to be fake.
It's not like Robert Englund's going to come out of nowhere and make a special guest appearance. That he's going to act like he's Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Welcome to Prime time.
Favorite episode of season 1, what do you think?
If I had to pick one from season 1, I'd probably say either Cave Demons or Death Raptor. Megaconda,
Ooh.
I felt like Megaconda is a little bit was somewhat there, but not really. I did like it how he killed the fucking poaching the guy who sold all the.
Oh, the
No,
black,
that was the
blackmail.
worst death in Megaconda. I
Oh,
liked
no,
it when
it
the
is.
one lead dude was like, oh, I can see up from the top of the crates. And then the Conda just picks him up and grabs him, and then you don't see him again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I meant like I like the ending of it, how he just kills like the true bad guy in it. It was just so satisfying.
Yeah, because the guy was such a total ass. The only sad thing about that was that a dog died. That's the only sad thing about that episode.
Yeah. And I felt like it was
Even though, the funny thing is the dog didn't even, like, it's an anaconda. It should consume the whole freaking thing whole, but no, it just got bit.
Yeah. That's actually kind of a criticism I have with like animal creature Lost Tapes episodes.
Reptile-like creatures.
Like you feel like the Megacon would just be satisfied with one meal. No, it has to kill fucking everybody.
It was
Hey,
probably,
don't mess
I
with
think probably the reason why Megaconda was killed it, because it was like, dog, you're noticing me. You need to shut the hell up. Yoink.
I always found
If I had to pick a
Death
favorite
Raptor to be-
episode... Wait, go ahead, Solomon.
Oh, Solomon, you were saying?
Yeah. I normally went with Death Raptor as my favorite, but I actually rewatched all 3 seasons, kind of mainly on a nostalgia kick. I think Oklahoma Octopus is actually the best one out of season 1.
I actually kind of agree with that. Like, I know water
It
episodes.
is
not
pretty
that good.
realistic if you think about it until Wendigo came, but I think my favorite episode is the Skinwalker episode. I just love it because it's the second close was Megaconda, even though I am petrified of snakes. I did like the concept of it.
Yeah.
But the Skinwalker, it's a very interesting because I made a video about my scariest episodes, and I explained in full detail why I like it. Shape-shifting abilities, and literally, it's such a fascinating episode. Well, one criticism I do have is that people say it's not terrifying. I thought it was creepy. And that's the whole premise of season 1. It's just atmosphere. We don't need so many jump scares. We don't need to see a full picture. You just need atmosphere.
I've grown to appreciate Skinwalker, actually. Imagine if Skinwalker was released in season 3 when... Because I'm not sure if you guys have gone on YouTube to get an idea of scary story, things like that, but Skinwalkers nowadays are really popular.
They are?
Oh,
I
yes,
haven't
they're
noticed
growing
that.
popularity big time.
Skinwalkers are super
absolutely.
popular.
Every time, I have somebody comment and they say that Skinwalker's their scariest episode, they usually won't tell me. And it's probably because, they're a Native American and, when you talk to Native Americans, they don't even want to talk about it because it's like Satan to them, but 10 times worse than Satan.
My only gripe with the episode is, and I think you guys were posting some of the costumes through 3 seasons, and you showed the werewolf costume or whatever. For why didn't they just use that?
Oh, you're talking about the costume in the segments?
Yeah, the segments before.
I think it's because they didn't have the budget for it. Because the budgetary restraint.
I
Oh no, go ahead.
I think if I remember right, that's actually from it's from a still from a movie called The Howling, because when I looked it up, the werewolf design in it is very similar to it. I might be wrong on that one, but I would agree.
Oh yeah, because we were chatting on it on Discord, and you said that was from The Howling, and I actually looked up clips of it. It actually is, and I actually found it very interesting. Also, I want to point out one more thing about that episode. The ending is by far the creepiest. Because the woman gets hit, and then a wolf just runs off. And you find the baby lamb. And I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night I was watching it.
Worst episode of season 1.
No, wait. I didn't talk my favorite yet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I feel like I've been left out of the conversation, guys.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God. This is freaking hard. I think for season 1, it would either have to be Chupacabra, because obviously it was the first episode I ever watched from the show.
That's a good
itself. And probably Hellhound, actually. 'Cause
I'm
the
actually
intro-
indifferent. Oh yeah,
What? Go ahead.
I'm actually indifferent to the Hellhound episode. Like the intro is kick ass. Don't get me wrong. It's just like
Oh yeah,
episode-
100%.
it just doesn't. It just kind of. I kind of feel like they could have had like a little bit more like kind of like a quiet place or Bird Box like feeling in terms of not seeing the Hellhound itself. But those movies weren't around during that time, so
The fact that it's so
Or the
obviously a
movies.
Rottweiler really took away from me a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean,
I like how whenever Smaug was trying to mention the well, he was mentioning the Hellhound in his ranking episode, in his favorite episode, he couldn't figure out what the name of the fucking dog is. I'm like, bro, it's a Rottweiler. I'm
sorry,
Smaug. I'm a huge fan of yours. Everybody screws up, but I just found that hilarious. You're like, oh, it's a bulldog, or no, it's just a giant ass dog. I'm like,
I had no idea. Sorry, man. But
you clearly have never seen Up before. You've never seen Up with the dogs.
oh gosh.
oh,
No, I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't use the Cerberus design or Cerberi. But I feel like
Yeah,
that would have been
Cerberus
cliche
design, yeah.
That would have been cliche too, having 3 heads for a dog.
yeah, and that technically.
Yeah, but
like,
again, the budgetary restraints. But that would have been interesting. If they could have saved Hellhound for probably season 2 or season 3, it could have been a very good episode.
I think for season 3, it wouldn't have been that good. I don't think. I'm just being honest, because season 3, and we'll talk about season 3, later, because it's slightly a mess. But I don't know why I love that episode so damn much. Other than the kick-ass music in the beginning, and it's just, I guess it's a little more emo, if you will.
Oh God, emo! No, we don't. No, not emo face. That was a really bad face.
Emo or the god
It was I remember watching the episode for the first time. I was cringed out of my shoes. And then later on, as I started watching it more, it wasn't that bad, but it's just like, oh my god, you literally put red eyes on a freaking dog. I mean, the ending was kind of unique, but Jesus, oh my god, the rest of the episode was just bad.
Yeah, because that's another thing that gets me too, is that ending. Like, who the hell was that girl? Like, there is no explanation.
She's a phantom.
He's a phantom.
So, worst episode of season 1. Smaug, I kind of want to hear yours.
I don't
Okay,
mean to
worst
disappoint
episode,
you,
okay.
Let's have
Boss
this go
or
one at a
Monterey.
time. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I
that's just-
saw that you said that, and I'm kind of confused why.
I feel like I'm really trying not to upset you here, because I know this was the first one you watched, but I just was bored out of my fucking mind watching that whole episode. I'm not interested whatsoever in it. It's like and for the longest
It is a bit
time
of a
I'd never
slow burn.
seen the freaking creature in there, and I don't know why. I really just do not like this episode at all.
Interesting, because
Yeah, every time-
no, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and say your piece.
I just know that some people who have reviewed this, not me, because I don't even think I included this in my top 12 scariest, but a lot of people give this episode credit for the way it's shot. In terms of like the angles and things like that, it's a lot more unique than a lot of the other episodes in the series as a whole. And that's not to say it's like a masterpiece or anything, but I'm just curious. I just find it fascinating that that's the one that you dislike the most as season 1.
Yeah, and it's actually the one I hate overall, surprisingly, above
all
every
3
other
seasons.
episode. This
Okay.
one, I just hate this one, period.
Okay.
I do agree with the cinematography. Like, it does seem very interesting. Like, some of the security angles, like, you don't like. It just seems interesting. It kind of feels like a realistic in like in terms of the security. Like
I don't know how he got the cameras up there, but they're good shots.
Shot by Go.
Oh yeah, they
shot
were
by
good shots,
iPhone.
100%.
And that's
Brad,
true.
what's
I
your
mean,
least
the
favorite
angles
episode?
are true, but like, I mean, this whole episode you could fill it with really anything. Like, you could add the fucking Megalodon in there, and it would still be the exact same formula a little bit.
That's fair.
Solomon, what's
Yeah.
yours worst episode?
Oh, Thunderbird.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we
There's
go.
no reason for it to exist, mainly because there's no consequence to it. There's no footage of anything. Nobody dies in the end. There is literally no reason for this episode to exist.
No, I agree.
All right. Here's the thing that I want to say, and this is probably the reason why I can't hate this episode entirely. First of all, everybody in there was, a kid. And obviously, this is the only episode of Lost Tapes where it's all kids. So
Fair.
you can't necessarily have a kid death on a show. That's like not a thing that you can do.
I mean, you could, but then you'd just be repeating it.
Oh boy.
Well, that is true.
And secondly,
Georgie. Aren't you gonna say hello?
I mean, in Oklahoma Octopus, we have teenager
Kiss me,
death.
fat boy.
So, like,
yeah, but teenagers are okay. It's like little kids, like the three boys that are in this one that we
They're like
cannot
9.
show on TV being killed. And there's another thing, and I don't want to put this as a race kind of thing on the table, but all the kids are black. Every single person in this episode is
African American
as well.
Let me look that up. Let me check the validity of that last statement.
I believe they are.
Yeah, it is true. All the kids are African American. It is 100% true.
They are.
I've watched the episode like 30 times, and they are all 100% African American.
And
Anyways,
this also. You were going to say something, if I recall.
No, go
Oh,
ahead.
there's a little rabbit. I found a little rabbit.
Oh yeah, they are. They're about
Obviously,
12
Lost
and 9.
Tapes always had an issue with flying creature episodes. They can never get it right. I think Death Raptor was the closest.
Except for Death Raptor.
Death Raptor's the closest. And
Mothman, I would say second closest.
Mothman wasn't that terrible.
Mothman's a weird episode. I don't know why they took a historical
you really
angle
like
to
that
it.
one.
I have a love-hate relationship towards it because I think it could have been done so much better, but at the same time, I don't want to hate it.
I actually hated it when I first saw it because it's like, I want entertainment. But as the years went on, it actually had historical value to it. And yeah, the story with the dude and the family, that's stupid, weird Jerry Springer stuff. That's all convoluted, but it's not a terrible episode. It's just not executed well enough.
You know what would have made Thunderbird a whole lot better? Just a scene of the kid getting picked up.
Yes.
True.
That is all
100%
you need.
I always like to think that the Thunderbird itself is I don't know if you heard the eagle. It's called the HAAST.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that eagle, the eagle that can literally pick up like children.
Oh yeah, totally.
Up in the sky. I always like to think of that as the Thunderbird.
I agree.
But yeah, I think for me the worst episode, if I had to pick one, probably the Skinwalker for this season, just because I felt like it was a little bit boring, a little bit dragged out. I mean, I appreciate those who like it, but Skinwalker.
I used to think that.
Oh.
What changed was that I think partially because Skinwalkers have gotten more popular in media, but also I think it's just a decently executed episode.
I think if
and I can understand. I can understand the boring.
I like that episode a little bit too, is because if you guys don't know, I also worked with sheep for a long time. So this whole episode, personally, to me, is basically like my whole family farm, basically.
Shit.
And I can understand the boring value of it, but like when it gets to like the baby being stolen and the lamb getting slaughtered, even though the lamb looks like a big, fluffy, like a big white pillow. I mean, when the baby gets stolen, I feel like the pacing is a little better. And, like, like, the first half is meh, and then, like, when the second, like half of it really kicks up, and I think it's a very, like, intense, like, race to, like, find out what happened to the lamb and all that stuff. So that's why I love Skinwalker a lot.
Yeah. I can't really say for sure what's my opinion my worst episode, but it would have to be Skinwalker, Thunderbird, probably Devil Dragon, aka the Megalania, and Hellhound. But
Yeah, that one's a bad one too.
no,
Oof.
here's a funny story about Megalania. When I bought the when I bought the DVDs on
DVD.
the DVD, I actually saw some rope and I rewinded. I was like, did I see something? And I saw a rope. I was like, well, that broke the illusion. Thanks.
I mean,
Ginger,
Devil
what's your-
Dragon, it's an interesting concept, but again, poor execution. That goes for my worst one. My worst one, Smaug, you should know what my worst one is, and it's actually the same with Selma Pleasant. It's Thunderbird. I cannot for the life of me understand why this was even an episode. Also, Monterey Bay was kind of close, but I cannot. Thunderbird, the concept of a 30-foot bird. They wouldn't even focus. Like, the beginning image of the entire episode is a pterodactyl. They scrap that completely and talk about the fucking condor. Boy, if you're going to talk about the picture of what it's going to be, you stick with it. If you want to talk about some other, like maybe like condors and eagles, or maybe the modern day pterodactyls, okay, I can kind of see that. But if you just scrap that entirely, what's the point of it? Also, it's very drawn out. The acting is god awful. The kids
The
are.
acting was the best part of the episode. I think the kids did well.
I think they did well for. I mean, obviously, if I were in that situation, I'd be a little bit panicky myself.
Like, the kids were fine.
Well,
It's just
yeah,
the
but
episode
at the
has no
same
point to
time,
exist.
it's kid actors. I
That's
would rather watch. I would rather watch it than watch those kid actors. The kids, they did the best they could. But my God, the Thunderbird. I would rather look at the actual Thunderbird card than watch the episode. It is bad. I got offended by it because it was an interesting concept, but again, wasted. I would probably say it's probably one of the worst episodes I've ever seen in Lost Tapes, but there's one that's like up there. And we'll get into that when we get into season 3. And oh boy, season 3 is a mess.
But yeah, I think let's choose the scariest episode from here. I think if I had to choose one, just because of like, best doesn't necessarily mean has to be the scariest. Like, to me, usually I intertwine those two. But if I had to pick one from this season, probably say Oklahoma Octopus or Cave Demons. But Cave Demons just because, like, I don't know, like something about
Claustrophobia, or
Probably
fear of the dark, or fear of weird bat people with feminine facial features.
Well, I feel like it's more so just like about just the military itself. Like when you see the military, you expect them to be like very strong, and to see them being like attacked by something they can barely see and something that seems like very evil, it's just scary.
Yeah, I understand that.
Oklahoma Octopus. What's yours?
Oh, my Death Raptor. It wasn't. It's not really that. I mean, maybe a second one might be Megaconda because I'm petrified of snakes. But Death Raptor, it's just the atmosphere of it. The atmosphere completely changes it. But okay, the concept of a giant owl, yeah, that's a little silly. But the imagery and like the overall atmosphere and the intensity, and the story's not bad. The stories will like get on like a little bit better, but as like the seasons go on. But Death Raptor was actually a really good episode, in my opinion. And it's by far one of the scariest.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot for season 1.
I also would like to interject with that. Like, I kind of like the cryptid thing. They don't have it on the DVD anymore, unless I'm wrong. To rewatch it, is how they intertwine the Owlman with the Mothman, saying that they're very similar in nature.
Yeah, that's what I actually found
very
interesting about the
common
Mothman
thing.
episode.
And
Yeah.
And then one thing I'll add some information is just because of theories and speculation. Some suspect that the Owlman's actually an omen, a demon of bad things to come because of because they actually apparently saw him during the tsunami and Chernobyl nuclear explosion.
Yeah, the Chernobyl.
Yeah.
The Chernobyl Diaries. That was a terrible movie. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's not. Smog, what's your scariest episode? Doesn't necessarily need to be the best.
Probably, Death Raptor, easily, just because of how eerie and spooky it really is. And it's just a little creepy. It's not necessarily the scariest thing in the world, but for in terms of season 1, it's actually pretty damn scary.
Yeah. Solomon, what's yours?
I probably should have looked at my actual video at what I thought from season 1. That probably would have helped me here, but I would like to give shout outs to Deathworm because of the isolation idea that they went with. I think that was fine. Death Raptor is just a solid, scary episode, and it is one of my personal favorites. Oklahoma Octopus, because the idea of getting dragged down and slowly eaten is something that I find fascinating. And I'll give props to the ending of Monster of Monterey. The way the camera bobs up and down, and you can hear her kind of
drowning
struggle. I think that was a really good ending, but I think overall Death Raptor is probably the scariest.
So,
why?
All in favor? Death Raptor's the scariest episode.
It seems like we're all kind of in agreement on that.
I feel like our scariest are going to differ as the seasons go on. But
most definitely. Okay, now we're on season 2. Now this one, I feel like. Okay, this one to me is one of the most controversial seasons, besides season 3, is because it integrated folklore monsters like vampires, werewolves, and aliens. But we'll get to Alien and what I think about aliens.
God.
Okay.
I think a lot of people consider season 2 the best because it balances that middle of not showing but also showing enough. That and the effects are just better.
No, I actually agree.
1 or 2 episodes, the effects are a whole lot better. And I'll also say that in terms of folklore monsters or monsters that you'd see in monster movies like vampires, werewolves, and things like that, I think this season did a lot better than what season 3 did with zombie and Strigoi vampire, but that's just me.
No, I get you.
Oh boy, Strigoi vampire, that is an episode.
Yeah. Okay. So since we're here, we have to talk about the controversial episodes, Werewolf and Vampire. I don't know if it was a mix-up or if it was done on purpose. When you look at the costume for the vampire, it looks kind of like a werewolf. But when you look at the werewolf, they don't really show a lycanthrope. They show more a woman with vampire teeth. I'd like to think that this was done on purpose, and I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about this.
Yeah, I think the vampire costume looks really cool. But it's a little weird.
It looks like a lion that went through so much age and it just went on a violent killing spree.
Well, you're talking about rogue lions, so.
Oh my God.
Which is a real thing.
Not Tiger King. We're not talking about Tiger King. Screw Joe Exodus.
No.
Joe Exotic, or whatever the hell his name is.
No. That's actually a real phenomenon. Most lions will tend to stay away from people, but however, there are certain lions that either been in that will go out and intentionally hunt humans. That's another thing.
And Smaugthe's always said this in his videos that they switched it up. A part of me believes that they switched for the vampire episode. They didn't want you to think it's actually Dracula or Nosferatu. They want you to think that there's other things that can be a vampire. I can sometimes think it's a giant vampire bat, for God's sake, but I mean, how is that going to work? I think for the werewolf, I feel like they didn't do enough time, or they didn't have enough time to show what the actual werewolf design looks like, and I felt like they just kind of rushed it. But at the same time, both are very good episodes. But the controversial
came off as a rushed episode.
Huh? Can you repeat that
again? Werewolf's a really good episode, in my opinion.
Werewolf always came off as a rushed episode. It's a very interesting theory that maybe they're switched, but I've never heard anything that they were. I just always gave props to Vampire for being an original episode.
I'm thinking that it was switched on purpose. Now, here's my theory about it, because around that time was the Twilight phase.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Twilight
Christ,
phase.
yes.
Yeah, the Twilight Saga. That's probably why they switched it up.
I would imagine something like that, like just to throw us off and just to be creative, like you said, Solomon. Okay. What is the worst episode? I think one of the worst episodes is probably Lizard Man, Death Crawler, White River Monster, and the Bear Lake Monster.
Okay, I would like to say.
Good. That's actually pretty
Yeah,
good.
okay. So
I would disagree a little bit with Lizard Man because Lizard Man for me has always been the baseline between a really a sort of good one and just crud. It's just crap, but it's sort of that
entertaining and
base
boring at the
episode
same
that
time.
You can work off of for Lost Tapes.
How about Spawn Lizard Man as an average episode?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's just I feel like they didn't show the Lizard Man enough, and I thought that killing the monster was a little bit weird. I was like, oh crap, because
I guess they wanted to make it something
Man was a very
different. I guess, because I think it was a Chupacabra too. I could be wrong here, but when it jumps out of the bushes, the cops in there, they shoot it and then they fucking bolt. And you never get to see the body of like the Chupacabra or anything like that.
Yeah, I get you.
I think you get to see a little bit when it's in the bushes, but like you'll have to like I saw like a glimpse of it, but then I never saw it for the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Again, season 1 was really good at like mind over matters.
And
Lizard Man in my no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna.
Lizard Man, in my opinion, was entertaining, but kind of boring. It was boringly entertaining. It's not the best episode, trust me. It's not the worst, like, either. It's a mixture of both. It's an episode that's kind of bad, it's kind of so bad it's pretty decent. It's an overall just basic episode. It's very standard. The claustrophobia, I like how the setting is. They go down to rescue a cat. There's a lot of dead cat carcasses, and the sewer environment. I feel like that's a very good setting. I wish they kind of had a little more episodes like that, but it is what it is. I think it's a standard episode. I didn't mind it too much.
Crap! I forgot what I was about to say.
Ginger, what episode do you think is the worst in season 2?
There we go. That's what I was about to say.
Honestly, I loved all of the episodes, but if I do have to pick one, it would have to be White River Monster. I find it entertaining, but it is really bad. The characters are likable. Smaug will probably dig a hole into this episode.
Oh,
and
no,
trust me,
it's bad.
Smaug will.
I will too. I felt like it was inspired by I don't know. There was an Animal Planet show that was going on around the time when they would do that cats. What was it? Basically fish noodling. I don't know what's it called.
Catfish noodling.
Yeah,
where you put your hand and that's something people in Alabama would be doing nowadays. Like Jesus Christ, I'm not a big fan of. But the reason why it's my worst in my opinion is that the design of the fish itself is terrible. It looks like someone made it out of clay. Looks like something out of paper mache. Again, the characters are fine, and the ending. Oh my lord, the ending was so retarded. It bumps into the guy's leg. It bumps into the log where this guy's leg is trapped between literally a rock and a hard place. Oh. The fish just hits it and it knocks it free and that doesn't kill the guy. Really? Okay. That is probably one of the stupidest endings I've ever seen.
Smaug, I'm curious about your least favorite episode of season 2.
I'm gonna have to say it's probably actually Death Crawler because I kind of
really?
Yeah, because I kind of actually do like White River because the dude in there, the old man in there, I kind of actually do enjoy his character.
I think we should.
Death Crawler, I was like, okay, it's kind of cool because it's another historical episode because half the episode takes place in the 90s and the other part of the episode, like, early 2000s. And we get the whole Spanish, people in there again, which is really cool to see because it's, it mixes up with Chupacabra as well. But it's, I guess the concept of Deathcrawler is just not good enough for me. It's like, okay, yeah, 3-foot-long centipede, big fucking deal.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, but I don't think it was too terrible of an episode. I mean, that one scene where all the guys are getting killed off, that was pretty cool. And the ending, it was a little weird, but I'll take it as it is.
Cliffhanger within cliffhanger, too.
Yeah,
it's so stupid, why didn't you take a machete or, something else on to defend yourselves just in case that were to happen? Like, what the hell did you do after you just, sailed your boat off, dropped, left everything right there? That's stupid.
That's the thing that would never get to me. What did he actually die from? Like,
probably from
did one of them just crawl on? Wait, what happened?
But she didn't even have, any centipede bites.
Oh, that's a
Yeah, did one just, crawl up onto the boat and say, hey, can you fetch me a cold one? And then as soon as the episode, that's my cue, I gotta go kill them both.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the guy is horrific in that episode. My God. The lady, she did the best she could, but Jesus Christ. Oh, that guy, I cannot. He's terrible.
And Solomon, what's your worst episode?
I think Ginger King really hit the nail on the head with White River, and I'll say Werewolf felt lazy, but Bear Lake's not good.
Oh yeah, it's basically a Dinosuchus or Ambulocetus in headcanon.
It is a repeat of Oklahoma, but worse, and it really doesn't help that I think out of every episode, it's the only one with the subject matter being confirmed a hoax.
Really?
Hey, really?
Yeah, I looked this up. Yeah, some guy admitted to just hoaxing the whole Bear Lake thing.
That sounds kind of like the Loch Ness thing. That's why I think it wasn't in.
That is the most cliche thing I've ever heard in my life.
There was studies actually done about Loch Ness that confirmed, if anything, it's probably an eel that's in there, but I digress on that point.
Or a piece of driftwood.
No, mostly eels.
Huh. And I didn't think Bear Lake was too terrible. I think the women in there actually made some more decisions.
Awful. Also in Bear Lake, it's really bad.
It is. Like you barely.
I mean, for an all-female cast, I've heard way worse. Have you seen Black Christmas, the 2006 remake? Don't. It is terrible. The ladies did the best they could, and the creature, it's like an alligator dinosaur hybrid. It's a mosasaurus.
To me, it's an Ambulocetus because the description of it hunts and prey like a crocodile. Is an Ambulocetus, which is
okay. Well, Snow said it was a mosasaurus, so I'll take his word for it. But at the same time,
a mosasaurid that could actually walk on land. But I digress.
I think Smaug.
Yeah, because you're the dinosaur. You're the dinosaur expert, essentially.
Well, because to me, it's like mosasaurids. Well, I mean, they started off on land, but they couldn't adapt themselves back onto land. So I was really confused about that. So I guess the Ambulocetus idea works, but that's personally what I don't think it is.
Okay. So
White River's awful though.
Yeah, it is. It's basically
White River is pretty bad.
It's a result
and the whole idea of a freaking Cephactinus. Seriously, that fish is huge. It's like you should be seeing the damn thing in the little pond that they're in. It's a dumb idea.
Yeah.
Yes, no, like you said, it's literally a beached whale in that little area.
I think it was also one of the adding factors that made it worse is because the fish knowing Animal Planet episodes shows were on at the time, as well as River Monsters. And here's why I will give credit to White River Monster is a test Jeremy Wade. I think that's how I say it.
Yeah, Jeremy Wade.
He did a test that said all it takes is a 25-pound fish to drag someone under. He did it with several weights, and he came to that conclusion.
So best episode, season 2.
Best episode. I probably would say Vampire. And either Vampire.
Yeah. I was just going to change my answer because I think everybody's just going to go with Vampire.
Either Vampire.
Actually, I'm going to go with something different.
What is it?
I know your
Vampires.
Smaug, I know your favorite. If you know Smaug in real life, you'll know his favorite by a long shot.
What is it?
I think we can all agree that Vampire was just done well.
Yeah. I
It's
also
like
It's
would
the
say,
most well done episode.
I also
I
would say
agree.
Dover Demon and Jersey Devil is also pretty good.
Mm.
All those
that's
are
another
really
one,
good.
too, because every time I bring up Lost Tapes, the first episode that usually everybody says, like, around here, is Jersey Devil. It's always the
100%.
Jersey Devil that starts it off first. But I think for me, my favorite is gonna have to be Southern Sasquatch.
Oh yeah, that is actually a really good episode.
Oh, that's a fantastic episode. You kidding me?
That's
I
one of the
absolutely
first
love
violent
that
episodes.
episode.
I feel like it was Southern Sasquatch was probably one of the first ultra violent episode of the series.
It was one of the goriest. One of the
It's
goriest by far.
aggressive.
Which I felt like could have I'm not too sure. We'll get to season 3 in later seasons, but yeah, I'm thinking with Southern Sasquatch, I really like to have
Oh
a
my
push.
god, I'm smiling just thinking about Southern Sasquatch. I
yes,
love
I
that
do.
episode to death. I wouldn't call it my favorite though, because there's a lot of good episodes. Dover Demon, Vampire, Jersey Devil, Southern Sasquatch. I would have to say my favorite. I would have to go with Alien. Now, the reason why I was originally going to say Dover Demon because, first of all, that is a kick-ass intro, and the way that people die are just like weird. But the reason why I like Alien is because it's not an actual not based off of the movie Alien, like not a xenomorph, even though or like some extraterrestrial. And also the fact I love the Alien franchise. Alien franchise is one of my favorites, especially the first Alien and Aliens. But it's not because of nostalgia. It's because the way of the episode that it's not an actual alien. It's a parasitic wasp. And I just love it for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the actual creature to become an episode. Like the same with Werewolf and Vampire. It doesn't have to be Dracula in order for it to be a vampire. You can make it around. And that's what Lost Tapes did brilliantly. They took an episode that you may think it's maybe a xenomorph or maybe it's an extraterrestrial. No, it's a parasitic wasp. But yes, it's a space thing. And you get that chest burster scene. But it's just a really just fascinating. It's kind of creepy. It's a fun episode. And have you seen there's a YouTube poop a guy did? I think his name is Tranzilla.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that. And he did like Southern Sasquatch or something like that. The ALMAO, it gets me every time. I'm like, I could see that. The ALMAO.
Brad, you seem to have gotten to Alien. Care to share your reasoning for that?
Huh, for Alien?
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they need to add a fucking predator to the season 4. Just kidding.
Oh, I was actually thinking about that.
Oh my god.
I'm like, yeah, you know what? If they add an alien, just put the...
because the chest burster scene that they had to do.
Yeah.
Small, what's your favorite from season 2?
Oh yeah. Wait, what was Small?
Yeah.
Southern Sasquatch.
So yeah, my favorite is definitely just like I said, Southern Sasquatch is absolutely my favorite. I guess I could say first of all, I'm a hunter. So obviously I'm gonna love this episode to a T. It is pretty violent of an episode. And then the fact that it just for some reason adds a lot of humor to it, which I didn't think I would want that for a Lost Tapes episode, but to be honest,
it's dark humor
I actually
though.
really do enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm thinking on the aliens thing, I thought it was interesting that they decided to go the xenomorph aspect of it instead of the little green men that will probe your ass. It's interesting.
Those are called goblins.
No, it's actually interesting that we just the alien is because I read a while ago this is an interpretation is often the alien depictions almost match identical to several demon depictions just because the drawings of aliens are almost identical to how demons are usually depicted. But I digress. That's the word I'm looking for.
I actually found out something very, very interesting. Is that in the Superman comics, Superman actually took on the xenomorphs, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
Superman actually took on the Xenomorphs. That I found that very interesting because it's like you have Man of Steel, Clark against a Xenomorph. That's like saying Batman should take on the freaking Terminator.
He actually did, actually, in the comics.
Oh yeah, he did.
They also Marvel Comics had Pinhead against the Marvel Universe.
Oh my god.
We'll
Hellraiser
tear your soul apart. Okay. Anyways, I digress. Solomon, what's your favorite episode for season 2?
We can all say that Vampire's a well done episode. We can all say that Southern Sasquatch is a well done episode. I would say Jersey Devil if it weren't for the fact that everybody gets out scot-free. For me, it's Dover Demon. It's fun.
Yeah.
Dover Demon is the most fun I have in season 2. And I think that's because of the hoax element.
Oh yeah, it's basically
And like they were playing like a Metacritic on themselves.
Oh yeah,
because they're a fake show.
And I kind of find it weird that the costume for the Dover Demon looked a lot like an alien. I know that was the purpose, to make it look like the Gray Man from.
There was no way they were going to get an accurate like rendition of what the Dover Demon was. Like they had a guy who got his career started by looking at this thing. There was no way they were going to get it accurate. So
most definitely.
I just kind of chuck that aside. But
yeah,
I think what makes season 2 amazing is like half of the episodes are some of the best in the entire series, and half of the episodes just are meh.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I really like about
season 2. It's like the perfect storm.
Yeah, okay. Now the scariest episode. I thinking Vampire is the scariest is because it's basically Thunderbird, but actually done well. Instead of it being a flying creature, it's a kid being hunted.
No, it is no. Do not compare Vampire to Thunderbird. I'm getting offended. No, I'm just joking, man. I'm just joking.
I was gonna say I'm not literally, but like the aspect.
Yeah, from a spectacle standpoint.
I think Vampire just wins it for me because the scene where the kid's running up the stairs is the thing's chasing it up the stairs. Who hasn't had that child?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
No,
that just terrified me.
No.
I saw it on ads. I was like, oh my god, no!
No, there's one part.
That is the one thing, Solomon, like that pissed me off about your scariest list is because Vampire was like so low, like
yeah, that's another thing. I was mad that I'm like, really?
Like, I still cannot watch Vampire to this fucking day because I am still scared.
I'm waiting.
I can't do it.
Smaug.
I can't do it.
Smaug, I'm waiting for you to do a reaction video. I'm just waiting for those comments. I'm waiting for those comments.
It has been a long time since I've looked at my video.
But yeah, Smaug.
I'll go back to it. It's very fun in my opinion.
I think we basically unanimously agree that Vampire is the scariest, but I also think Southern Sasquatch is. I would say it's a little scary just because it's spelled so different from the other episodes as well as Dover Demon. Jersey Devil.
I feel like Vampire, in my opinion, I feel like there's one scene that everybody forgets about. Everybody talks about that basement scene where the vampires are chasing after him. There's a scene before that, like in the first I'd say.
Oh, when they break into his room, right?
Oh yeah,
yes,
that's terrifying.
I cannot. I was scared
out. The first moment where the kid is like, "Yeah, this place is horrible," and the vampire starts crawling around in the room, and then opens the closet door.
Yeah.
Like, tries pulling the bed sheets off. That's actually.
Oh my god, dude! I literally have nightmares from
everything
that.
about that episode. I cannot watch.
I still have nightmares of. I still kind of scared at night of a creature just like coming out, just pulling my bed sheets off. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then you realize it's actually your creepy neighbor from next door in a weird costume.
Oh my god.
No, in all seriousness, I've watched the episode at least 10 times. The first time I saw that episode, I was looking at my closet door. I'm ready to throw like toys at it. I'm like, you better come out, you fucker.
You better come out.
Every time I watched it, every time I watch that episode, I have a baseball bat near me, and I don't have a very big closet, But if I do get a big closet one day, I'm just gonna every time I'm gonna watch the episode, I'm just gonna grab it. And I'm gonna say, you better open that closet door. I cannot watch that. I'll watch it if I have the balls to do it. If I can have, I've watched a lot of scary stuff, but I cannot watch that I can watch literally any other Lost Tapes episode. Literally any other.
But
I cannot watch Vampire. It's terrifying. It's so good of an episode. Yes, the costume, it's really cheesy, but that just adds to, like, the camera shaking.
yeah.
Oh my god, it's just... Woo!
Okay.
I would like to say the ending was kind of weird. That one vampire gets stabbed, and then the others just ran away. I felt that was a kind of...
I think
that
the
was kind
vampire
of a...
died.
Yeah,
No,
I think the vampire
no.
was dead by the end of it.
No, they said that, I read on Wikipedia that the exterminator died, but one of the vampires was critically injured. So it wasn't confirmed if it was dead.
Yeah.
We knew that the Reed family, the dad was, like, treated to a local medical, like, to a hospital. But at the same time, if one gets injured, why did the other two leave? The other two could have just slaughtered the whole family. But again, it was the first episode, so they were trying something new. But still, the vampire episode, I'm literally thinking of those scenes in my head. I'm probably not sleeping tonight. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to be going on to, I think, might be either considered the worst or the best, depending how you look at it, season 3. And
The worst.
I'm just gonna go off straight off the bat. What I think is the worst episode, Reptilian. I
agree.
Pardon my French, but I fucking hate. I really hate conspiracy theories.
Pardon my French.
Because I'm an Occam's razor person. It's usually it's either very complicated or very simple. Oftentimes it's very simple. That's what the Occam's razor principle is. But I digress. I'm thinking just besides, it's just very cringy in my opinion. Just the Reptilian episode, just in general, is like very cringy. You don't see the creature at all. Although I am gonna say the girl at the beginning, I think the Asian girl at the beginning, she's hot. I'll give it that.
Ooh! I would bang her on any day.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
Okay,
folks.
all right.
Man, literally, I agree 100%.
I mean,
Okay.
I literally watched that. I literally watched that episode.
So I'm like, y'all good.
Okay. Anyways, kids. I think also one of the worst episodes is Kraken and Strigoi. I felt like Strigoi was a little bit just like kind of pushing the envelope. I felt like they could have mentioned the Strigoi in the vampire episode. They did. But I felt like repeating a vampire episode wasn't really necessary. And Kraken,
I actually thought that Strigoi Vampire was actually very entertaining in my opinion. But I can see why it is. I can see why it's pretty bad. Because like
but not good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I could just give some opinions I have on season 3, because they've drastically changed from what I initially thought.
Oh yeah, I think, and also one of the worst episodes in this season is the cutest snake god. Now that they introduced Greek mythology,
oh my god!
Just imagine Kratos just coming down and being like,
You will not see the end of this day.
I'm gonna rip.
Yes, yeah, that's why I don't like Q at all, because it gives people like the idea that, oh yeah, we need to do a dragon episode, or we need to do a unicorn episode, and that's dumb as hell.
I feel like Kratos would be a good episode. Just kidding.
Just for the lulz. I'm just gonna say
idea is bringing a video game character.
I'll just say spoilers for my worst episode.
Oh boy.
Q the Serpent God is like the worst episode in my opinion, but like that's a spoiler for the worst. I'll talk about why, but between Thunderbird and Q at least had it was an interesting concept. Like the concept, it's really silly, but they were trying something new. Maybe they ran out of ideas, and maybe they thought it was an interesting idea, but it fell flat on its ass. But a Thunderbird, there's literally no excuse for Thunderbird. I would say that is like below Q, even though Q is a giant stinkhole.
Yeah. Smog, you agree Reptilian's the worst episode and Q?
I definitely agree. Reptilian is just, I guess I could say, is just poorly executed. It's not for the conspiracy thing, because everybody's, because we are eventually going to get something like this, but it just wasn't, really well done. And the people in this whole episode are just, oh my god,
Idiots.
you're supposed to be detectives doing this shit. You don't call for backup or anything like that. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, with Q, it just brings in other ideas for creatures. And I think the real reason why they added Q to begin with, and I could be wrong on this, depending on when the episode happened, but I feel like they did. They feel like they did Q because this was around the time when the Aztec calendar was supposed to, cycle again. Like I think it was in 2012, and everybody was getting this
the
big
season was
scare.
released. No, the season was released in 2010. But oh gosh, I remember 2012. I was terrified. I thought the world was gonna end. I actually genuinely believed it.
Yeah, and then it didn't happen.
I didn't even know what I did in 2012. I'm gonna be brutally honest.
I was in middle school.
I was
I was 12 when that 12 and 13 when that happened. But
yeah,
yeah,
same here. Same
all
here.
right. Anyways, kids, Solomon, what's your best?
Solomon.
Solomon.
Before I say that, I just want to defend season 3 for a moment in that I'll give it was ambitious and it tried to be more polished than its previous 2 seasons. And I'll give them credit for trying new things. Like, they just strove away from the whole cryptid aspect, and a lot of the episodes I really have problems with. I have a problem with Zombie because it's not cryptid and there's really no reason to do it, and it's very clear that this episode was made because of the zombie hype that was going around.
Oh yeah, Walking Dead.
I don't get why Strigoi Vampire was made. It felt like it was being lazy. Reptilian makes me very upset that was the last episode we ever got of Lost Tapes. It's really kind of offensive to end it on that for me. But Q, the Serpent God, I find the worst because, for one, Lost Tapes can't do flying episodes very well. For two, it's a hodgepodge of an episode. Like, there's... I don't like the Enigma Corporation. I think that was the worst thing they could have done.
I was going to talk about that first. Let's have a discussion about the Enigma Corporation.
I feel like it is pointless to add it.
Yeah, it was pointless. I felt like what they could have done to make it more interesting. Have we played Resident Evil? Or...
I've seen the movies. I regret seeing the movies.
Yeah, the video games are good. I felt like Enigma could have been like this umbrella corporation, this evil corporation, kind of like Weyland-Yutani, like trying to capture these monsters for their own military strategic purposes, like the Weyland Corporation. But I felt like it wasn't necessary. Like they could have done like I don't know.
I think because the reason why is because maybe Resident Evil was getting a lot.
The Enigma Corporation was more like the SCP Foundation, and I'm just like, I guess it's it's a cool concept, but I'm like, there really is no
capture the animals. That's the thing. No, I think it's because of the Resident Evil hype. That's what I feel like, because of the Umbrella Corporation. And they're probably thinking, oh, if Resident Evil can do it, the hell we can do it. It was, again, interesting concept, terrible execution.
I feel like it was more like in line with Weyland-Yutani from the AVP, Alien vs. Predator franchise, which I classify the Predator and Alien franchises being one timeline, but that's on another tangent. But I think what I didn't like about the zombie episode 2 is they had the World War Z writer in it, and it's just like, great, shameless promotion.
Yeah, and if I find to be equally as bad, because obviously I could just jump on the bad wagon and say Q the Serpent God is the worst one, because it is pretty bad.
Yeah,
Poltergeist is bad.
Oh no, we don't talk.
What?
Really?
No.
I am offended, my good sir.
Here's the thing. You know when they're communicating with the spirit and the guy looks through the window and sees the serial killer, and then his crew asks him what he saw, and he responds, "Oh, it was nothing." Like they're not paranormal researchers that are specifically here to deal with this problem.
I think you got that idea. I think you got that idea from that one guy that completely ripped on the show.
Totally, but he has a point.
I mean, yes, but the rest of the episode is fantastic.
Also, the people die pretty quickly, and it's kind of laughable to some degree how quickly it's like, oh, guess you're dead.
Well, that's a super. I think that's more in line with the supernatural. Like there's certain demons.
Oh no, go on. I'm interrupting you.
No, I was gonna say if I remember, according to my demonology, because I studied like because I studied this stuff. There are certain demons that are more like that are certain personifications that will drain like life force in general. That's what I'd like to think. Or there's certain like Dante's Inferno, like there's certain demons with certain powers because the sphere they're in, but that's not a canon book. But anyways, I personally think this is both. I think that for me, Poltergeist is the best and the scariest for me, along with what was it?
Devil Monkey
and Wendigo. But what I like about looking back at Poltergeist, and then I draw a lot of parallels to Silent Hill PT. Like it mentions the father killing the family and then himself. Just that connection just kind of reminded me of Silent Hill PT. What could have been? Thanks, Konami.
Just as an overview, the episodes I consider bad are usually the ones that focus on a cryptid, minus Wendigo, because I'll explain that in a bit, but like Reptilian, Q the Serpent God, Poltergeist, Strigoi Vampire to a degree, Zombie, I'm not a huge fan of those episodes. I feel like it's kind of a step away from what Lost Tapes was going to be doing, and I always kind of have a problem with those episodes.
Yeah, I definitely get reading that.
I would like to say my worst episode, even though I haven't talked to him in a link, but I would like to defend that some of the runner-ups.
Go ahead.
Poltergeist, I can understand that it doesn't all have to be cryptids. It could be folklore. Poltergeist was good because of the atmosphere. Zombies, I didn't like as much, but the ending was kind of like, well, what our government do? Reptilian, they tried. There was an attempt made.
Wait,
the whole wrapping up bodies and frickin' tinfoil or plastic or whatever it was, that was kind of silly, but there was an attempt made. Kraken, it's CGI, but I can give it a pass because there wasn't another. They tried to focus on the giant squid, but they were trying to focus on the Kraken as well. So I could see that. There was no excuse for Q the Serpent God. No excuse.
Absolutely.
I get what they tried.
Yeah.
I get what they tried to do, but Jesus Christ, the CGI. Oh my God! It looks like something out of a Disneyland theme park. God!
It does. It looks like a dragon.
The entire. I really like saying another thing about zombies is that the team there are total retards. You let someone bite your arm and say knock it off.
Well, zombies. Here's the thing about zombies. Like the depiction of zombies, according to Haiti tradition, is actually someone just under a magical influence. Zombies is them being.
Yeah, they could be under a trance. I get that.
Yeah,
but yeah, the team are kind of stupid. But my God, you're telling me a Mayan god, into a show that's based on cryptids?
Aztec god.
I think someone was high. And the stupid part
of this thing.
Wait, can you repeat
that?
Oh
my God, the camera shot was god awful. But I think the worst part.
The fact that there's a giant winged creature just in this warehouse and you can't get a good camera shot of it. Like, Kraken gets a pass because it's underwater. Q doesn't have an excuse for why you can't get a good shot of it other than as we're bad at editing, I guess.
Yeah.
The CGI is so laughably bad.
Oh, it's bad.
The worst part of the entire part, especially like all the worst part of the episode, which was mainly all of it, but mostly the bad part is that the fucking thing died from a dagger.
Well,
What?
well, here's the thing. Well,
I can see that. But really, they were shooting guns at it, and a dagger, a little knife, stabs, and it's dead.
maybe the dagger has like is magical. Sorry. Anyways, kids. The best
Oh,
episode.
also, I would like to. Sorry if I'm interrupting. I would like to defend Strigoi
Yeah.
vampire. I get why it was. I get what they were trying to do. I think it was entertaining, in my opinion. Yeah, Smaug in his ranking video would say it wasn't. It's not that good. It was terrifying. I will say that. But as the years went on, I think it was solid. I don't think it was terrible. But cue the Serpent God. I cannot. I will avoid that episode.
Hey, Smaug, what's your favorite from season 3? I'm curious.
I think.
Ooh, from season 3.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the Wendigo
Oh,
episode.
God.
Wendigo.
Ooh, no, it's 3 of them. I think it's I'm debating
Oh.
over 3 of them. It's
Do
gonna
tell.
have to be Wendigo, Yeti, and the Devil Monkey.
Interesting that you say Devil Monkey. Like, guys, I rewatch it. I actually do think it's the best. Like, I don't think it's like, I don't know. It's interesting that you say that.
The Devil Monkey's pretty good. I actually really do like it. Kind of scares me whenever I go up north and visit people. Like, I'm afraid it would actually come into the house. But yeah. Let's see what else was.
If I had to
Wendigo's
give,
pretty good. Wendigo's
If I-
pretty good because of its realism.
yeah, Wendigo's like
and
I think
then-
the best episode of the series. If I had to give, like, if we had to pick one, or that's usually the one people go to.
I would probably say Devil Monkey's one of the best.
And then Yeti, every time I ride Excavation Everest, I'm just like, I need to fucking watch this one first. I'm sorry. And I love I love the news segment that starts off that episode too. It's just like the best thing ever. I'm like, why would you post that on freaking television? But I really love it.
Speaking of the news thing from the Yeti episode, if you pay attention, if you listen close enough, you can hear Keemstar going. The drama alert music in the background. What is up, everybody? I'm your
Oh
host,
yeah, I heard that. I was dying of laughter.
Killer Keemstar. Let's get right
Into the news.
Let's get right into the news.
Tumblr Nation.
Face Banks cheated on Alyssa Violet. How dare he? Sorry.
Ginger, what's your favorite?
Markiplier exposes he's not a man. He's a turtle.
Oh, God.
Exposed. World ends in 20 days.
Okay, sorry, can you repeat that again, Solomon? We were on a tangent.
Well, yeah, I just want to know, Ginger, what's your favorite from season 3?
Ah, God. Okay, so my list might be a little weird, but I don't know, because there's a lot of good ones. I really wish Strigoi Vampire, even though it's cheesy. Yeti was good because of how violent it was. Poltergeist was pretty good because of the silence of it. I thought that was very interesting. Wendigo, that's an episode that's probably one of the best. It's not my personal favorite. Devil Monkey is pretty good, but this one might surprise a lot of people. I love Beast of Bray Road. I love Beast of Bray Road.
I
One
thought
of my
Beast of Bray
favorite
Road wouldn't get mentioned on this podcast.
I actually think it's
Oh
really
my
good to bring
Yeah,
it
that's
up.
another good one. Oh, god damn it.
Oh yeah, when you
I
look at the-
figured you would have forgot about that, Smaug.
Oh yeah, I actually almost forgot it. Like
People forget about this episode so often.
the only criticism I have against it is just more so just like it's just more so just the I guess like the set design because of they decided to go with a paramilitary force, and I'm not political on this show, but it
Oh
felt a
no,
little-
no politics allowed. No.
Yeah, Yeah, it just felt a little weird that they decided to bring like a paramilitary.
The thing
group.
about it is that the costume is nothing like how it's presented. But my god, I was having a ball with it, man. The violence. The dude's arms gets swung into the camera. Originally I was gonna say Devil Monkey because it's violent in that one part where the zoologist or whatever, that Lane guy, with the big white beard that kind of looks like a hobo Santa Claus. Yeah, he's like, you don't want to wander to the forest of the Devil Monkey. It may be the last thing you'll ever do. And then transactions. I love that scene. Devil Monkey it's a good episode because of the sheer brutality. And, like, the Moonshiners, okay, that's a little weird, but Devil Monkey is pretty good. I like Lucy Boy Road because it's just fun. I just love it. And Wendigo, it'll most likely be the scariest in most people's opinion. I would like to say vampire. But Beast of Bray Road, I think it's kind of forgotten because people think it's like, it's an okay episode. It is fun. Sheer fun, as silly and as retardedly stupid it is so bad, it's really good. I love Beast of Bray Road.
As someone who's from Wisconsin, I don't think we have a lot of paramilitaries. I didn't know that was a thing, but I guess Animal Planet told me it is, so that's cool. It always feels very off-putting that that's the angle they go with.
Yeah, that is a very weird angle that they went with. Just going 4chan, kids.
Brad, what's your favorite?
Favorite of season 3 or just in general?
Season 3. And if it's the scariest too, you can go ahead and say that.
I think I mentioned it. I think the top 2, both scariest, and I think they're tied in my opinion. Just because I'm into the whole supernatural element of it, would be Poltergeist and Wendigo. Wendigo because it's very realistic in my opinion. Because Wendigo psychosis is like a form of cabin fever, and we're in quarantine right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happened.
I would be surprised if somebody turned into a Wendigo in my house.
Guys, I'm starting to feel weird. My brother's starting to look very tasty right now.
Oh no! Like, and what I liked about, as I said, like just because of PT, like Silent Hill PT is why I like Poltergeist, and also because I watched a lot of paranormal investigation shows as a kid. And just
like Ghost Adventures and all that stuff. Yeah,
that's why. Just the angle that they decide to go make the Poltergeist, or demon as I like to call it in headcanon, like just this thing that will basically kill you. It's terrifying. It's kind of meta because you see demonic possessions on quote unquote demonic possessions. Let's take everything with a grain of salt, as I think we should with a lot of stuff in life. But it's just like this. It just felt very meta to me, and those are 2 of the scariest.
I would like to add for I'm sorry that I cut you off, but for Poltergeist, I feel like there's a scene that I feel like everybody forgets. The very first scene, where the kid's talking to his sister, and you get that part where the whole bookshelf collapsed. There's a part where there's a shadow. It goes into frame and then it comes out. It's like you have to look on the very left corner of the screen. There's a shadow hand that comes out and then it goes right back. I feel like that depicts on this episode saying, "Oh, this is going to be creepy."
Really, I actually did not know that. Is it the left top?
If you go to the very beginning, the kid walks in, and I think it's in 10 minutes of 10 seconds of him talking, there'll be a black little figure just go in and out of frame. And if you've seen it, let me know on Discord. I feel like that will depict that this is going to be a fucked up episode.
Yeah.
Of just sheer paranoia.
Yeah, I think
and not to mention that ending. Yeah. Oh my god, that ending.
The ending is that's the ending part with the news clippings. That's the part that reminded me of Silent Hill PT. If you okay, I'll stop talking about video games for a second. But yeah, okay.
No, not that ending. The way the last guy died. That was just oof.
Oh, That was like, oh god, that was like, oh shit. And I think it has
That literally came out of left field.
Yeah, I think it was also one of the scariest parts in that episode. Just the kid with like where the kids panda teddy bears replaced with a knife.
Yeah.
And
Oh
and the
my
parents said,
god.
and when the parents said, "That's not a knife we have," that actually scares the shit out of me. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I imagine if I saw something like that, I'd be very terrified.
And especially when the closet door opens as well. That's what terrified me. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm probably thinking that grudge bitch is gonna come out and probably scare the fuck out of me.
Okay.
If you have seen the new Grudge, please don't. It's terrible. The 2020 one is.
That one's actually, if I remember right, if I read reviews, that one takes place between 1 and 2, actually.
Yeah, the timeline's really stupid. But anyways, let's continue. Let's not get off topic.
Okay, so let's run this down really quickly. Best episode of the whole series, worst episode, and scariest. Scariest doesn't necessarily have to be the best. I'm gonna go start first. I'm gonna say the best episode is probably crap. That's actually hard for me. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say the best one would probably be Poltergeist. The worst one is probably Q the Snake God, the Serpent God, excuse me, and the scariest is probably Wendigo or Vampire.
I actually didn't talk. I don't think we talked about our scariest episode for season 3.
Oh yeah, What's the scariest episode? Sorry.
Smaug, would you like to give your input on what the scariest episode of season 3 is?
All right. Scariest for season 3.
I don't know if you went best, but mention best too.
And then mention best. All right. So I'll go with scariest first. It would have to be probably Poltergeist, because that intro already just scares the shit out of me. Because normally you hear the drums in the beginning part where it's the viewer discretion is advised, and it's all silent.
Oh yeah.
It's all silent, and it's just it's the eeriness right then and there. So that one's pretty scary. I think my favorite from that season as a whole, oh god, because now we mentioned Beast of Bray Road. Oh shit, because that's another guilty pleasure of mine for some reason.
Oh, that's a huge guilty pleasure.
Because it's so bad, it's actually really good. Then Devil Monkey's another good one. So I think if we're doing the whole analysis of the whole series right now, scariest for me would definitely be Vampire. I just cannot watch it to this day because of how scary it is. Worst would be Monster of Monterey, because
obviously
it's so bland, it's so boring, and you could throw anything in there and it would just be the exact same thing. And then favorite would have to be Southern Sasquatch. It's too good.
And Ginger, sorry. What's your best episode for Ginger?
Solomon.
Huh?
Oh, let's I'll do mine last. Let's do Solomon's.
Solomon, what's your favorite episode? Your least favorite episode, or most hated episode, and the scariest?
Of the entire series.
Of the whole series.
It's kind of a toss-up between Q the Serpent God and Thunderbird. They both have both Q and Thunderbird have this problem of, like, I just don't need to watch it. Like, there's no reason for me to do so, but I'll give it to Q because I'll give Thunderbird a pass on that. It was an older episode, and they were still trying to figure stuff out. Q has no excuse for being as bad as it is.
Yeah.
I would say the best episode
or your favorite.
Bar none, Wendigo is the best episode. I will sit on that hill and continue to preach that. Wendigo nails it out of the park. Wendigo is always the reason why I ever binge the whole series. It is phenomenal.
Yeah. Ginger, best?
Wait. Is your scariest also Wendigo as well?
Of course it's Wendigo.
Oh, well, you've seen it. Well, to clarify, because maybe as you watched it, maybe Vampire might scare the shit out of you.
The Vampire is scary, but it's always going to be Wendigo. That is something I knew when I was making that top 12 video. It was always going to be at the top there.
Yeah.
Okay, so worst, it will have to be Q, because like what Solomon said, they were trying to find their footing, and the concept of it was fine. And Q is just a trash heap that needs to be burned. my favorite. Oh god. Favorite. That's tough. Alien is my favorite from season 2, but out of the whole series, I would have to say Werewolf. Because again, with the controversy of the Twilight Saga and all that stuff, I just really like the episode. It's intense. It's creepy. It's eerie. It's violent. Especially that ending where, my god, that was just bizarre. I mean, like Wendigo, yeah, that's a complete fucking mess, but in a good way.
Yeah.
But I love Werewolf. Werewolf, I think, is one of my favorites, even though it's not my favorite of season 2.
And Scariest.
It's obviously Vampire. I can't. Same with Smaug. You will literally have to put me in a straitjacket and tie me to a chair, clamp my eyes open just for me to watch it. It is too good of an episode, especially with that. Every time the vampire shows up, especially with the beginning scene where the vampire attacks the guy that's just taking a piss.
No, he was pumping gas, if I'm right.
No, he got done taking a piss and he was getting ready to leave the bathroom. All of a sudden, it just came out of the field.
Oh yeah. And yeah.
So what are yours, Brad?
Oh, I just mentioned it. Worst is probably Reptilian. Best is probably Poltergeist, and scariest is probably Wendigo or Vampire. Okay. And yeah, let's talk about season 4. And
here we go.
Pull up your list. Here's my list. It's very controversial. So be forewarned. I actually included some urban legends on here, and actually added a serial killer on here.
I'm going to be judging you very critically for this, so just note that.
So sorry.
Okay, so judge all of you very critically.
I'm curious about the urban legends and the serial killer. I'm curious about that.
No, I said urban legends, not religious. Okay, for season 4 and season 5, here are my creatures. Demon. They could do any type of demon. I could succubus or incubus on there. Like it could just be like an average demon. Area 51, I feel like that should be a 1-hour special, just because Area 51 is just like this massive topic. Slenderman, obviously, because it was around 2011 is when the creepypasta got famous by Victor Surge.
Yeah, but if you think about it, how if they're going to try to do it now, considering how it bombed at the box office, do you think that episode will be good?
Actually did very well at the box office. I think, if I'm right, it did 5 times the budget. The only problem with that one is, I actually did some research on this, is Sony did not want any controversy, so they decided to slice it up. It was supposed to come out as rated R. I digress.
I did not like.
Are you kidding me? That piece of garbage was supposed to be rated R?
It was. There was
there's no way that was rated R. That is strictly PG-13.
No, there were some very violent scenes in the trailer. You see the girl stab herself with the what's it called?
The surgical eye, yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah.
It was supposed to be gratuitous, uncensored violence, and more scenes of Slenderman.
Bad movie.
I really did wish that the whole movie was better. But when I went and saw it, it was just, oh my god, it was bad.
I think the
You know what I wish what they should have done? They should have done based on real events of those 2 girls that went into the woods and stabbed that one girl to death.
That's what
I feel like they should have done. And it should have been based on true events, but no, they decided to do something 50 times terrible.
They actually did that as a HBO documentary series. I think that's why Sony decided. But I digress. Africa Monster. I think it's like spelled Africa. Erica Monster. I feel like
Erica Monster.
I remember you, Smaug, saying the Indoraptor episode. And I know that was a joke. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was literally a joke because I didn't have like a 13th idea. So I'm like, what the hell do I do? Indoraptor. Oh, okay,
you should have done the Bunyip. You should have done the Bunyip.
I definitely can tell you that it's not on here.
I actually feel like having aspects of the Indoraptor in the Erica Monster. Sorry, I'm bad.
Erica
Monster would be very interesting, because it's interesting that you said Indoraptor, because Steven Spielberg in The Lost World had the idea of a super raptor, but never brought it up again, but decided to scrap the idea. But I feel like having aspects of the Indoraptor from the Fallen Kingdom would be good. And yeah, I have Loch Ness Monster. If you have Chupacabra and Bigfoot, you have to have Loch Ness. That's like
That's
the end all be
the
all.
folklore
Yeah,
trilogy.
I agree.
Yeah. I have Turner Bees. Then I have controversially the Megalodon, which we all know the
I think it would
document-
be a good episode, actually.
we all know the controversial like fake mockumentary Megalodon documentary. That creature doesn't exist, but I feel like if it were to be, have it would be interesting. And I have Kuchisake Ona, the slit mouth woman. Correct me if I pronounce that correctly. Down in
I wouldn't know how to pronounce that either.
Kuchisake Ona. I think that's how I say it. It's basically that's an urban legend. I feel like that one would be interesting. That one is basically, it's simple. I don't know if you heard about the urban legend. Basically, it goes: a woman in a surgical match approaches you. She asks, "Am I pretty?" If you say no, she kills you. If you say,
Yeah. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I've literally heard of it. It is terrifying. I think that would be a really good episode.
I actually think that here's my thing. If they did an episode, I think they had to set it in Japan. They had to have an all Asian cast, or they could do it in an Asian American. But I feel like to make it more authentic, they had to have Japan, and I feel like it.
Yeah,
the legend started off in the 70s and 80s, and I felt like it could be like a repeat serial killer. And then speaking of serial killers, I actually have in the thumbnail, if you paid attention, the Zodiac Killer.
Ooh, okay.
That's my most controversial pick because it's a serial killer. Serial killers are very controversial. I feel like for an episode could be like a copycat return of the serial killer. Like, because the Zodiac Killer is very mysterious himself. Like, no one knows who he is. He's Ted Cruz. Just kidding. Like, I feel like it'd be interesting. I feel like that one could be a 1 hour episode too, because it's the Zodiac Killer. And I have Hogzilla. I have Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary because urban legends, and just because
I'm pretty sure all of us know who Bloody Mary is.
Yeah. Grassman, Yowie. Yowie's the Australian version of the Bigfoot. I have mer people, like mermaids, not Little Mermaid. Although that's a good movie.
Ursula's a cryptid.
Oh gosh, it's been confirmed. I have the Anansi Goatman.
Ooh, yes, the Goat Man. Yeah, I was actually, if you didn't I'm actually wanted to talk about some, but after you're done. But I was thinking Goat Man will be a really good episode. Also, I think there's another name for it. I think it's called the Public Monster.
Can you repeat that again, Solomon?
Goatman is a topic that they just should have used in season 3. I don't know why they didn't. Like, I don't know why season 3 has so much of this, like, let's not focus on cryptids when there are so many good ones. And Goatman's probably the biggest example of that.
Yeah, exactly. That and Loch Ness. But I think in terms of best cryptids or probably best episodes, if done right, Goatman were probably one of the best.
Yeah.
If they did it right.
And then I have, so for the next one I have witch. If you have werewolf and vampire, you have to have a witch. That's basically classic gothic horror, in my opinion.
Oh, I can do like Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga.
I got that word.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry, Solomon. It really was.
Baba Yaga.
What is that?
Baba Yaga.
She's a Russian witch.
Oh,
yeah.
Rasputin. They should have him too. Just kidding. And then next I have shadow people. Like, basically kind of like poltergeist, but however, just mysterious black shadows. Actually inspired the Slender Man, actually. I have Partridge Creek Monster, the Ceratosaurus creature. But the only problem I have with that is I feel like it would suffer the same thing as Q, the Serpent God, not the flying creature episode, but more just this giant predator from the Jurassic period.
Wait, hold on. What is it? What is it again? The Partridge what?
Partridge Creek Monster. Basically, what it is, it's a Ceratosaurus.
I'll have to look that up.
A feathered Ceratosaurus that lives in Alaska, basically.
Oh, it's in Alaska? I didn't know that.
It's like in Alaska, Canada, that sort of region. Yeah.
Okay. And then I have the Enigma Corporation, but we can scrap that one. I have the Hopkinsville Goblins. Which
I don't think that'll work.
Huh?
I don't think that'll work.
Well, it's just
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's okay. And then the last one, I have the Grim Reaper.
Ooh.
You know, the classic evil death personification, and
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick a few of the, I think if I had to pick 5 in this list, I probably would say probably Area 51, Demon, Kuchisake Ona, Shadow People, and probably Witch. Actually,
I would
sorry.
also probably put Goatman as well.
Yeah, I would have Goatman and probably Loch Ness too. Like if I had to pick 5, those are my top 5.
I would also here's mine because I don't have much. I only have like 2 or 3. But one of them I actually looked up and I think it's really interesting. Bunyip, if you know what that is.
Can you repeat that again?
Bunyip?
What is that?
B-U-N. Oh my
Interesting.
God.
What aren't
Yeah, I
bunyips?
can't really remember. I think it's like some type of like dinosaur-like creature. I heard people mention it in your season 4 suggestions, actually, Smaug. And I looked it up and I'm like, that could actually be a pretty good episode.
But yeah. What's the other one?
The next 2 are from movies or TV series. I was thinking The Clickers or The Creatures from A Quiet Place.
Oh no! I mean, I like the idea of it. I'm not gonna lie. Here's the thing.
Yeah,
about-
because if you think about it, you can't make noise. And if they have it in that aspect, I feel like that would be a good episode. And another one, I'm not sure if...
like
Yes,
if I had to give a quick hot take on Quiet Place, I felt like I was actually kind of underwhelmed by the movie. Like it was good, don't get me wrong, but I was like, really?
I'll talk
It's a video game movie basically, but different. Sorry.
Yeah, also one more. Demigorgon. I've been binge watching Stranger Things for season 1, and I'm thinking, and I watched the monster. I'm like, that can actually be a lot safe episode. Now, granted, it wouldn't be that good because given the circumstances. And also, one more thing, the rake.
Oh yeah, the rake for the. Oh yeah, I feel like that one would be interesting too. The only problem I see with creepypasta is because of the Slender Man and Jeff the Killer's original creator actually now having the rights to the creepypasta for Jeff the Killer. That wasn't his version. That was someone else's version. The only problem I see with creepypasta Lost Taste episodes is more so just like legality and stuff and controversy.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going into a realm basically where it's, it wouldn't work out as well if you did a creepypasta because nobody's going to really, credit you that much.
Yeah. The only thing I would see is like kind of what they did with the Slender Man movie is have the creator attach, but he didn't really have a lot of input in the movie, but that's another tangent. Or
there's some that I think would be really interesting from the show Mountain Monsters. I think season 5, I think? They're trying to find the spear finger.
What?
The spear finger?
Spearfinger, what is that?
This is not a suggestion, but there's some creatures that I think are very interesting. The Cherokee Devil, which is a Bigfoot, a Cherokee Death Cat. One I think is very interesting, the Wild Woman, which is this woman that I think she made a deal with the devil, I think, or something like that. You'll have to look at it's the Wild Woman. Y-A-Y, or no, W-A-Y-A-N, and then woman. I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, Smaug, the DM. What's your creatures you would like to see?
All right, so I guess if we're gonna add on to the list, because a lot of the things that you've said, Brad, were kind of on my list too. Funny enough.
Oh, I would imagine.
Yeah, so I guess to add on to the list, I guess I could add the Ahul, which is basically a giant bat. It would be another repeat of cave demons, I feel. The Janoskwa, which is a very violent Bigfoot that has a stone-like body because it would rub, it would move around in mud to create armor. And then Sheep Squatch would be another really interesting one. I feel like, and then the Nundy Bear is another good one because I would like to have an episode that actually goes into Africa for once. Because we've seen Asia, we've seen Europe a little bit, I guess, with the Death Raptor, a lot of North America, maybe South America, not quite either as well. But we never really saw an African episode, so I'd be interested in seeing that. And then my final one I would want to add is Lalachusa, because it's another Native American, legend. I think it would be a pretty interesting episode too, because it's like this owl witch that basically torments you until you die.
Solomon, do you have any ideas, or just like what's your opinion of these choices?
Smog coming at it with really good ideas. To not repeat any of the ones I've already been said, some that I haven't heard yet that I think could be good. Flatwoods Monster.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
Luska also is one that I feel could easily be done. It would feel a lot like Oklahoma Octopus, but I think it could be a fun one. I wanted to say Bat Squatch just to go for the hard, let's go every type of Sasquatch we can find type of thing. But
yeah,
at the same time, I think they just messed it up like every other flying episode.
Oh yeah. I feel like Tunnel Monsters too.
Yeah.
I also heard Lone Pines Monster, which I don't like the idea. Just I have seen the little like video online, but it just doesn't seem intimidating to me.
It is a good video though.
Yeah, it is.
It's like a little ball of death. Whee!
Whee!
But it's technically supposed to be like a mini pterosaur, and I'm like, what the hell? So why did they change the damn thing? Because pterosaur would actually be a really interesting idea to see in that whole thing, but nope, guess not.
Yep. Go ahead, Solomon.
I think those were the main two that I thought of. I know that some people were bringing up like the raptor that's frequently seen in Africa, or the Nundi bear, stuff like that. All really darn good suggestions. I have a problem, and whenever people comment on my video and they say, oh, this Slender Man, or they say rake and stuff like that, I'm sitting there and I'm like, guys, do you not know what creepypastas are about?
Yes.
I think a lot of... Well, hold on. I think a lot of people are suggesting rake because of that one photo that got, leaked out to the news by the farmer that got the photo. And then for Slender Man, I guess it's like you could do the whole episode based off the murder that the two girls made.
No, it wasn't a murder. The girl survived,
that's
but
also
she
the
was
concept
basically...
of the movie, and that's why it kind of didn't, make sense with the video game. In a sense too, because you got to also remember Slender Man also started out as a game too.
It actually started out as a Photoshop contest by Victor Surge. He decided to submit his creatures for like making old pictures scary. He took inspiration, I think, from the Mad Gasser, Shadow People, and Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, Lovecraft.
Two more suggestions I'd like to point out. The Enfield horror is something that's always come up that I feel could have been interesting. And there was one other. I'm trying to remember what.
Oh yeah, I remember the Enfield horror. That's the paranormal thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like nobody knows how to identify it.
Like part of it seems fake, but at the same time, it's very strange. It's weird. It's a very interesting case. Like I would add to your
the nun from Conjuring.
Oh God, no. That's actually when I looked up Nalek on Google. It's nothing very special about that demon in particular. It's actually a demon from demonology.
And the last one I want to suggest is the horror from Berkeley Square.
Do you mind explaining that one?
There's this building somewhere in England, I believe, that people have died in, and it's walled off currently. I'll see if I can find a link for it somewhere, something like that. But suffice it to say,
I'm looking it up right now.
It feels like Lost Tapes could do something with that.
Yeah. I would imagine, would it be shocked if Lost Tapes... Animal Planet, if you're watching this, we would like to see Lost Tapes, but take some of our suggestions. Like, I will agree with the creepypasta things. I mean, I just added just because I wouldn't be too surprised if they did at the time of 2011. But looking at the results now, it's not a good idea. I feel like it all matters in execution, really. That's why I suggested Kusesake Ona. Like, I think Lost Tapes would had season 4 and 5 been greenlit, it would have gone like with Urban Legends.
I think I would agree.
Yeah, I would prefer if they stuck to the whole cryptid thing, but I think nowadays would do a Urban Legends kind of thing. But maybe we can get a spinoff series.
Yeah,
that's what I've been trying to do on my channel. I'm like, can I get some writers or something in there, or get some like actors to do this kind of shit? Because I feel like if we are a dedicated enough community, I'd say we can pull it off a season 4 or season 5 without even Animal Planet like greenlighting it.
Yeah, like I would
Probably the same
imagine.
production value.
Well, yeah, that's actually something I want to talk about. I want to talk about the costumes. I felt like some of them were hit or miss. Like I felt like the cameras were shaky on purpose, just to, because the costumes were like the best. But some of them looked very goddamn terrifying. Like the Wendigo, the vampire, and the devil monkey. Actually, I remember seeing devil monkey like a while ago, and I paused it and I looked at his feet and I saw the actor was wearing Vans.
God.
No, I'm not kidding. Like if you pause at the right time, yeah.
There's nothing more terrifying than a violent ape that's going to tear your limbs apart. That's also wearing Vans.
Yeah,
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I would shit my pants.
Yeah.
Knowing that the ape not only is stronger than me, but more financially sound than me. That's probably the hardest hit.
Yeah. I actually would like to thank SmaugtheDM and Solomon Pleasent for joining us. In case you didn't know why I started this, is because Solomon Pleasent posted a video in 2013. I came across it maybe 2 years later. And I was like, oh, this seems interesting. And then I ran into SmaugtheDM's video not too recently. I was like, let's see what happened. So yeah, thank you guys.
Here we are. The magic works.
Thank you guys for watching. Down in the description below, I'll post links to Ginger's YouTube channel, SmaugtheDM's Twitter, Discord server, and his YouTube channel, and then Solomon Pleasant's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Later, dudes. Until we meet again.
And until next time, guys, I am the DM.
Salutations, my good friends.